It wasn't the threat of death my procedure sought to avoid, but that of rebirth. Now I face the god of rebirth, who's set on destroying the wheel. If I'd known in advance, perhaps I'd have held off on the experiment at sea. Regardless, we are here now, and I stand ready. Let us finish this.
Is there a purpose to this experiment? Or should I too anticipate such kindnesses? If benevolence doesn't move you, Watcher, consider that this one might make for an interesting study, in terms both physiological and metaphysical. Careful. This one's as much hunger as reason. Hello, my apologies, I didn't see you there. I, like the other scholars here, am engaged in the study of the soul sciences. Was there something you needed, or may I return to my studies? I had a mishap with my machinery, but all is well now. The details are unimportant. In any case, why are you here? I will not lie and say it was a pleasure to meet you, but I wish you safe travels all the same. Goodbye. Indeed, I apologize if you find the sight of blood unsettling. Though, from your appearance, I would expect you to be well acquainted with it. I had intended to perform a handful of experiments regarding the nature of souls that could only be done safely at sea. My experiments were successful, and the ship eventually reached its destination. The rest is inconsequential. So be it. Perhaps you would be amenable to me traveling with you on something of a permanent basis? I have a vested interest in luminous Audra, but acquiring it here can be expensive. I have all that I need. We may depart at your leisure. Truly? Oh, do you ask if I'm a traitor? If I were, would you expect me to answer plainly? The sensitive kind. A fellow researcher. Then perhaps you will understand. I'd not experiment upon myself without relative certainty it would be a success. I suppose I was wrong to expect more from you. In the absence of live animals, luminous Audra has proven sufficient to sustain me. I will address that problem when it is before me, should it arise at all. I do not care to borrow trouble. I've long been fascinated by the nature of entropy. Nothing is unaffected by the passage of time, excepting souls. Supposedly. Death is a fact of life in the white that wends. Many kinds of death are a fact of life in the white that wends. Which is not to say I do not appreciate your concern. I do. Well, that won't do it all. Had I more time, I might seek to bring the perpetrators, those holding the purse strings, to justice. Unfortunately, I do not. You return, I see. I am an open book. I admire their tailoring tradition immensely. It's much grander than clothing one finds in the white that wends. I am, of course. A curious mind is an agile mind. Besides, the two practices are more alike than one might think. Care and patience, yes. It is gratifying to be understood. Both deal in the details in the warp and the weft. A delicate hand is required if one is to bend either to one's will. Regardless, I am not. I have neither the inclination towards duplicity, nor the fondness for Rawatai required to act as their spy. You are of the land? You do have the look of it about you. A certain uprightness of posture, the telltale wrinkles about the eyes from years spent squinting against sun reflecting off the endless ice. Yes, I see it now. You've been away from home too long, brother. You've been away from home too long, sister. It has its charms. I miss the Skirharel and Ekavit at festival times, and the recitations of the epics to welcome the new year. But I am glad to be free of it. Just a bit of culture I've picked up along the way. It is a mundane story. I sought out the ship with the longest oversea route departing from the Republics and booked passage. Are you certain? Might I convince you to reconsider? You do? My body and soul are my own. Why should I not do with them as I wish? Still, I am free. Truly. Tell me, what do you see when you peer into the souls of Kith? Do you see their misdeeds? Their evil thoughts? Their unkindnesses, perversions, cruelties? I apologize. I have always felt a kinship with your kind. Having witnessed the very worst in Kith has left me keenly attuned to recognizing ill intent. Who are you to say? I wish only to return to my studies. Many things. Currently, an unusual variety of Audra. It seems to exist only here, among the isles and waters of the Deadfire. You have a ship of your own and are clearly well-traveled. I suspect I would encounter more luminous Audra with you than I would on the streets of Nekataka. Thaklaut, traveler, I am grateful. I deduced that it was possible to escape the cycle. Escape Bareth's grasp. To remove one's soul from the wheel. Then I will take my belongings to your ship. Merla, that burned. How so? Your silence speaks volumes. You seem to be in rather dire need of one yourself. A pity, as I don't do work for hire. There's a strange, almost melancholy beauty to the substance. I believe there is more to it than others know. Is that so? Then I will endeavor to avoid your ire. If you insist. With the aid of a device of copper and Audra, I have uncoupled my soul from my body, freeing myself of Bareth's wheel. I belong only to myself now. Didn't you? Ah, you meant because of my skin tone. I could make the same observation of you, were I less courteous. I take it you've never met one of the glam felon before? We're not terribly common outside of the white that wends. I am fine. Is there some reason I shouldn't be? Simply put, I wasn't here at the time. I do not spend my every waking moment in the spire. Only most of them. Is it not possible that repeated reincarnation damages a soul? Could the process of reincarnation itself be responsible for some of the many ills that plague the souls of Kith? In the absence of a corporeal anchor. Apologies. Was there something you required? Do I appear dead to you? There were complications. My soul may be uncoupled from the wheel, but it seems to have become dislodged from my flesh as well. I think, perhaps, that I would be grateful for the opportunity. I am concerned by neither. I will sate my appetite with the souls of animals, just as I sated my appetite with their flesh while in my previous life. This blade is not merely for show. There are no end of swordsmen in the Deadfire, though, right? I, however, possess some little sway over the minds of others. I assure you, sir, that I will be admitting no part of you into my mouth. Ever. I worry you've confused me for a moth. Not a problem. Everything's fine. Taste blood. You shan't walk away from this one. Break upon the wheel. I don't think so. Not possible, I'm afraid. As you wish. Happy to oblige. A sure thing. Did I do that? I can scarcely believe it. Happens to everyone. Still so much to learn. Well. Curiouser and curiouser. Seek your horizons, and I shall seek mine. Another fool with a death wish. This one thinks they're clever. Quite enough for me, thank you. A little caution, please. Keep your hands to yourself. What do you need? Bored, are you? Shall I do a jig, recite the epics? What? 2 silvers, 7 coppers. Wait, did that bookseller overcharge me? What kind of rock is this, do you think? It would seem I'm stuck. Some assistance, please? I'd have thought this would bleed more. I'd heard them prone to nightmares, but do watchers never sleep? The soul is willing, but the body is coming apart at the seams. Any more and my back will break. Huh? Well, this should be educational. Off we go. Discovery ho. Just a moment of your time, Watcher. Don't mind if I do. Allow me. Can we not finish this? I can't feel my everything. A temporary setback. As one. Fourth to battle. 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 Death take you. Death take you. Death take you. Damn, I had a few questions for him yet. Oh no, not a dare. Whatever shall we do? It was bound to happen eventually. The stoic one? I liked her. Shit. Seraphin. Shame about the pretty one. So long, little priestess. Oh dear. Well, this is damnably inconvenient. That's a shame. A bad way to go. Unfortunate. There's time enough for fainting later, Eloth. Perhaps a good slap would wake Adair. On your feet, Keen Eyes. Who's to heal the healer? Give the little one a hand. Now's no time for games, Takehu. Perhaps a little more caution next time, Shodi. We still need you. Up with you. The fight's not over yet. Do I feel warm to you? Nausea, dizziness, tremors. Oh, I've been poisoned. What's over there? My eyes are yours. What do you need? Bored, are you? Shall I do a jig, recite the epics? What? A question, Watcher? How might I assist? Yes? Strange. It does nothing. That's that, then. Easily done.
Regardless, they bend light, focusing my vision of nearby objects. It helps me to read fine print. Absolutely. You would get a headache, child. Then read more. Spectacles, Vela. Those skepticals might be a valuable contribution to society. Yes, very insightful, Dawnstar. Now, return to your glowing bauble and leave the discussion to the adults. Not directly. I don't see how. Not if the energies are consumed or stored. If they're somehow returned to the island, however, that would certainly make sense, given the blood sport. Curious. It seems your remark struck deeper than intended, Watcher.
Events very unlikely to occur during a heated fracas. That's potentially brilliant. If it isn't wildly disastrous.
Better by far than a second hairy blue bastard. How intriguing. Who exactly are you to define godhood? I suspected the same thing, Watcher. A straightforward enough reply. Such is the nature of endings. Never truly believed until they arrive. How convenient. You hardly radiate confidence in the legitimacy of this event. Doesn't everyone? Provided no severe trauma suffered to the brain or soul. Does that not remind you of the Veetmouth, Watcher? Stripping items of soul energies? Did you expect something else, Watcher? That is not an option, priest. Surely he doesn't expect us to believe that he chopped the pillar down. A soul, though not possessed of a living body, remains a consciousness. Are you prepared to shoulder this act, Watcher? Besides the series of decisions that led us to this moment, it bristles with soul energy. Glutted and potent. Did restoring the flow of souls result in some manner of essence feedback? An edifice to mindless violence. And crowded with more than the souls of the living. Spiritual essence given elemental form. Be on your guard. Do not be distracted, Watcher. Distraction kills. I'd always heard that the people of Ixamidal prized intellect and wisdom. Oh, did they banish you? Try not to burn them. Perhaps we can harvest the silk. Careful. These feed on the raw life of the living. We have Lagafath in the White That Wends. They are different. I have often admired the complexity of ancient defense mechanisms. They are not as quiet as they would have you think. Get your mind out of the gutter, Seraphin. They are less imbecilic than they look, Watcher. Try to split its focus. It can't concentrate on all of us. Our minds are still our own. Do not let the material distract you. Perhaps we can use their rage against them. They fear us. They should. I do not seek your approval, Fish Prince. They're artificial. Each contains fragments of many souls. Care to convince them to treat us as Berteno? This will be good practice for when the Adirans come. Their bonds with their beasts are strong. You can twist it to your advantage. Captain? Ado, Captain. Howyo. Greetings again, Captain. Do you require my expertise? Captain, or should I call you the Watcher of Cadnua? I confess that title. Something of a mouthful. Do they? I don't think I'd care for people always calling me Animancer. No matter. I would hardly want to be like most people, now would I? Captain it is, then. How very informal of you. I think I would prefer something a bit more decorous. This and that. Your involvement in Duke Avar's hearings on animancy and the aftermath brought you to the attention of animancers across the Reach. When you took me aboard, you neglected to mention that you were in pursuit of a rampaging deity. I appreciate the apology, but it's unnecessary. No. I think I'd rather you not. The Blue Colossus may be one of the defining events of the age. I count myself fortunate to bear witness to your investigation. Speaking of, let us return to it, yeah? I admit to excitement, curiosity. I cherish the opportunity to explore, to test my wits against ancient ruins and vicious wildlife. Most ships discourage such avocations. I appreciate the opportunity to sail the seas, to speak to the people of the Deadfire, to learn. It gladdens me sometimes to intervene. My past attempts at intercession have been less proactive. You never cease to amuse, do you? There are too few people like yourself in the world. Thinkers. Poor Seraphim. He wants so badly to be loved, yet he's terrified of anyone caring for him. I certainly do not miss the land. I imagine that you do not either. I understand a harsh choice made towards a necessary end. Gleeful cruelty, however? Perhaps someday I will write the history of this. But who would believe it? Magrin's teeth. How few people have ventured that far east, have set foot on that soil. Exhilarating, isn't it? To walk within the white void. I've no words. Of our alliance with pirates and our ship of the dead? It certainly does not lack for excitement. Few are privileged to drive history in matters both scientific and divine. I couldn't ask for more. The submersible is truly wondrous. Perhaps we can liberate it from Rawatai. The Huana deserve the opportunity to preserve their lands. I do not begrudge you your choice. Apologies. I was just thinking of Seraphim. Given what came of Seraphim, I'd rather hold my tongue. If I'm to be entirely honest, I sometimes wonder if Seraphim wasn't right to leave. Should I? My studies? I cannot promise a dissertation, but I'll happily discourse upon the broader strokes. It was neither so random nor so strange a thing as your question would suggest. In a word, animancy. The Republics take the most progressive attitude towards the subject, and thus they attract its foremost scholars, among whom I count myself. Of course, Captain. Increased tensions between the Republics and the Deerwood, for one. I had little interest having my experiments disrupted by some grudge-bearing bricklayer from Defiance Bay. I believe you had some hand in that. Mostly, though, my studies demanded more luminous Audra than I could afford to import. So I sought out the source, very much so. Though I imagine you capable of finding someone much better suited to telling you of them. I spent most of my time in laboratories and libraries. I admit bias, but they are very likely the grandest in the world. Imagine great domes rising above your head, shelves along each wall stacked high with tomes, as if the building itself were built of bound pages. Though I suppose that might sound familiar, given what we found in the Black Isles. They were the true treasure of the Republics. The collected histories, dramas, and comedies of Old Valia. The most advanced arcane theories of Adir. The most ancient liturgical texts of Anguith. And the most advanced treatises on animancy. In a way, your ship reminds me of them. A dozen kith from every corner of Aora, working towards a common goal, while your crew pursues Aethys across the sea. Ours pursued the future, each chasing our own dawn. Many things. A strong, dark tea, a comic play, the song of a whale, the soft resistance of paper to quill or fabric to needle. Discovering what's just over the horizon. There exists things in this world beautiful and wondrous both. One only needs to leave the land to find them. Speaking of, let us see what the horizon holds, yeah? You haven't read my work, then? I'm surprised you haven't read my work. That depends on who you ask. Generally, Audra conducts soul energy. Luminous Audra also stores it, however. Is it simply a worse conductor getting clogged by essence? Or is this indicative of a specialized function? Unfortunately, greed stymies inquiry. Rawatai and the Republics grind every ounce they find down into bath salts. I could theorize, but given how little I've observed of him, it would be irresponsible of me to do so. It must require incredible energy, though. Staggering amounts of soul essence. And can Audra truly be so flexible? Why does he not crumble? Whatever he is, however he accomplishes it, perhaps we can discover together, if the discovering doesn't kill us. As an apprentice, I focused on, and then helped discredit, the phrenological approach. At the time, it seemed more difficult than I thought it should be. Some of my colleagues had a vested interest in a model of the world that included an inherent hierarchy of kith, that some kith made more worthy receptacles for souls than others, based on the shape of their brow or the length of their ears, was apparently an idea too tantalizing to abandon. Afterwards, my interest turned to the theoretical, before shifting a few decades later to the study of parapsychological inertia. Perhaps later. We've work to do, yeah? Just so. Close. Parapsychological inertia. The tendency for some souls to gravitate towards familiar locales or engage in behaviors exhibited from past lives. From there, I moved on to work in metamortality, the scientific study of souls over lifetimes and the cycle of reincarnation. Which brings us to the present. You set the sled before the dogs. Before making decisions regarding what should be done, we must first understand what is. Anything else is a dream in the dark. The truth, of course. I'm sorry that I have no simple answer for you. Embarking on inquiry with an agenda. That is how mistakes get made. Not at all. But I admit them. I've had a year or two in which to make mistakes. A pleasant diversion as always, Captain. Shall we return to work? Are you surprised? He's a two-faced, manipulative hypocrite, and remarkably unpleasant company. What's surprising is that anyone bears fondness for him. Show me someone who hasn't. I will treat him with politesse, provided he does not provoke me. I'd suggest we take him to the luminous bathhouse, but who knows if they'd let him in? Who, if I recall correctly, you considered selling me to for your own freedom, and yet we persist. Remarkable, yeah? Perhaps you should seek out another to pass time with, Captain. I hope that you understand what you agreed to. Offering to act as his agent. He was much as I expected. Cold, hard, both honest and misleading. I doubt that it will be easy on your soul. Regardless of where the gods came from, I have no doubt that the land shaped Remergond. I do. His unpleasantness does not change the fundamental truth of his doctrine. Whatever for. Due to my gender, my elf ancestry, the spectacles, I am not certain that faith is the right term. But still, I am glad not to have disappointed you. I beg to differ. They may be artificial, but they certainly exist. Further, they represent philosophies present among the Kith prior to the rise of Angwith. That a school of thought is blindly followed by some does not entirely negate its validity. I believe I said I did not want to discuss it. I appreciate that. But I assure you that I will not. Then you demand that I leave? Farewell, Captain. My condition? If by that you mean the results of my experiment upon the sea, I have no interest in discussing it at this time, or likely ever. This one surrounds himself with the Deadfire's sharpest wits. This one surrounds herself with the Deadfire's sharpest wits. The world will end, child. Everything does. Yet, I appreciate your skepticism. We're striding into a conflict between religious fanatics? Fantastic. No, it's not that. That one reminds me of myself at her age. Not quite clever enough to realize how clever she is, nor half clever enough to realize how much cleverer she'll need to be. Shall we carry on, Dusk Speaker? Are those bottles of Ekavit? Well then, we'll have to speak with Nevadir, whatever else we accomplish here. This fool, for one. I left the land due to exactly this manner of nonsense. Our people have likely been chanting about the coming of the final winter for 10,000 years. You speak of evidence? Our elders hide our writing. They keep us illiterate. Ask yourself why, sister. It is called Yomidra, and is mystified only by the secrecy in which it's kept. They are not. Rationale must bolster beliefs, or they are not but castles built of mist on the surface of the sea. But civil I shall remain. I've too few words to waste them on the obstinate. You're asking us? I suppose it would be too much to ask of you to take responsibility for your own futures. You could perhaps try having a thought of your own, brother. I've no idea why. My own thoughts exactly. Death isn't their goal, Watcher. These ones seek an ending beyond death. An absolute nihility. I grew up among the Twilight Dwellers. I've heard it all before. If you coddle the child, Watcher, it will never learn. Trembling alone in a dark corner of a hidden room is just how we Glamfelons show affection. The ostensible holy man is a hypocrite and a charlatan. How entirely unexpected. Certainly telling your followers that it was a manifestation of the divine come to usher them unto oblivion didn't confuse matters. So you just donned the role presented you. Like a well-cut coat. Though not, apparently, how to leave the land by chartering passage on a boat like the rest of us. I took what I required from a dead man. More than that, I will not say. Not here. Not now. That concerns you not, priest. Must he? This one speaks of the lore of nothing. The dusk of being, the ending of all things, and the part of the soul that longs for that ending. These concepts are central to more traditionalist understandings of Remergon's designs. It is pronounced Juana. Now still your tongue and let the Watcher work. Merla. Fantastic. I'm certain they will, given their fantastic record of decision-making thus far. The Watcher's not mistaken, brothers and sisters. Find better uses for your talents. Remergond needs you elsewhere. What a profoundly deep understanding of my people's religious doctrine. Most intriguing. I wonder if the other gods have blessed similar relics. That one's invocation of Wodika and Wal suggests it's some manner of trial. I sense dozens, perhaps hundreds of minds contained within that. Careful, Watcher. She's starting to think you dangerous. Most impressive. I thought a violent confrontation a near certainty. Happily, I am proved wrong. Well then, I hope your amusement was worth it, Watcher. Everything ends. Remergond included. Yes. Well done. Let us continue. She's consumed by her hatred. They both are, and all that in between. This spirit manipulates our perceptions directly. Some ciphers possess similar skills. It seems our heretic dabbles in the philosophy of rule. You abstract your choices in phrases such as, this body, and the tribunal. You preemptively refuse responsibility for your actions. You're proud, then, of that visage? Only to the Deadfire. And the beyond. This is a mummer's farce. Play your part or do not. But do something. This place seems a labyrinth of memories. I suspect that we may be nearing its center. You're suggesting the fragments of her souls are at odds? An interesting hypothesis. And in keeping with the evidence, I doubt she will be capable of understanding in her current state. Remergon's influence, or perhaps the nature of this place, has fragmented your soul. Some trauma, likely related to your lived experiences, has widened this division. The fragments no longer recognize one another as sharing the same source. A deer formed roughly 4 centuries ago, but it only established its deerwood colony within the last 2. You claim that the dragon manifested itself from ambient essence? How terribly convenient. It is a hard land that produces hard people. It is fallacious to ascribe to it deeper spiritual or, worse, anthropomorphic qualities. I know yours. Quick to ascribe every faint breeze to the lungs of a god. And don't call me girl. I would think my acceptance of the god's existence and my personal adherence to Remergond evidenced by my actions. I do not, however, grant them omnipotence, nor believe them solely responsible for every natural process. You'd find the land much transformed, Ganthur. Settlements exist across the coast, trading as much in culture as goods. And few children have the support of 2 parents, much less a whole clan of them. I thought it odd, Watcher, that you possessed a sudden and thorough understanding of Arthioma. This imagery, do you think Remergond chose it? Or did it predate him? Or perhaps our expectations determine our perception of this place. I'm not usually staring directly into the inevitable ending of all things. Besides what's in the teachings of the elders, by its nature, the White Void is the place from which things do not return. Accounts of this place cannot be verified and hence remain unreliable. As pithily put as ever, mi amico. Concerned may be a better word than worried. Or perhaps not. I may have misunderstood what I wanted. I am scientist enough to recognize and admit when I've erred. You must grossly misunderstand me. Many scholars and scientists have difficulty reconciling the dogma of the gods with the unbiased approach demanded by our studies. Science and history alike, however, bear out the philosophy of Remergant. Everything decays. Everything ends. The beast of winter cleanses all. You pursue a mad god across a foreign sea, at risk from pirates, wilder, and monsters of the deep. Do you merely seek vengeance? Or do you believe you do the god's will? How beneficent. Let us carry on, before this place saps our will. There's much to be said for simplicity and motivation. The plunder, too, I'm certain. Then let us seek, starting with a way back from this place. That I can respect. I presume the release you speak of is the dissolution of the soul? I am not the Watcher's property to barter with. You would choke on me, beast. I expected better of you. Of both of you. This architecture, it appears to be of the Eastern Reach. And the blood, it's too still. Audra, arches, inlaid copper. Ruins of Anguith, I suspect. Wait, who's that? A frozen coast. How familiar. Let us finish this quickly, yeah? The angles of the ruins indicate outward expansion, suggesting we're above the source of the ice. With that relic, we should be able to navigate these waterways. I wonder how it works. That creature seems set on laying waste to this place. Should we intercede? Most intriguing. The dragon may be a vessel. Incredible. If only I could scrutinize my experiments at such leisure. These winds can shear spirit from flesh. Be careful. Memories, the mind, the soul. These things are intimately interlinked. Damage to one can result in significant, often irreversible, harm to another. You saved me the asking, Watcher. I suspect that crossing the sheer enormity of the ether would strip a stone of any meaningful energy. It would be far more likely for it to amass essence on arrival at Aora. Perhaps a book on astronomy would pique her interest. I've no doubt that someone in the Republics would leap at the opportunity to outfit an archmage on the rise. Very convenient. They operate in decentralized cells then. Not unlike the leaden key. This place is a riddle. Knowing what I do of WoW, perhaps it frames its own answer. But how can memories remain if the soul continues to the wheel? I remain unconvinced that the wheel presents a preferable alternative to these cages. An interesting moral argument given the source. Mortality is a sentence pronounced on us for a crime we were never given the chance to commit. You jest, yeah? Memories are written on the soul. Journals are not. The mind behind those eyes. This entity's intellect. It's staggering. Skeet! This plan is flawless. Nothing disastrous could result from injecting a town's worth of kith with fractured blended souls. The brain is not some pattern for the mind. You cannot simply refill it with random soul essence and expect it to be the same person it once was. Surely even you recognize the difference between a leaking bucket and an empty one, farm girl. I won't hazard guesses, Captain. But it feels something like a specter or shade, though almost inviting. Again, Captain? Do you shove your arm into every dark hole that beckons? I sense neither a single consciousness, nor a multitude. More like a fog of midges. Let the gods made this happen, child. Whatever you find down there, I hope it justifies risking a limb. Absolutely worth the risk. Certainly. An injustice righted, and perhaps an ally gained. Captain, I believe this creature bound by the Vithrax. It appears to desire instruction. This is little more than a puppet of the larger spore system we encountered earlier. Yet it seems broken somehow, as if a part of her still clings to what she was. It refers to a growth, Watcher. Something protuberant. Such a thing is certainly possible. We may have even read of this one in the past, only to have our memory of it suppressed. The Titan's soul is like an ocean, deep and tumultuous. You'll be overwhelmed. Marla, we may be too late to prevent this, Captain. The eye's agony. You seem to have soothed it somewhat. Thankfully. It is as if the thing's mind is opening to swallow us all. Truly, Captain? That was an original Viennetta. Was that one of mine? An impressive trick, but a trick nonetheless. You would be wise to mistrust it, Captain. Its mind is not simple. These share some kind of simple consciousness. How intriguing. Heartbreaking. I doubt the finest archivists in the republics could restore these tomes if the floor above was restricted. Imagine what awaits us at the top of this. This hardly seems hygienic. These experiments seem the random fumbling of a child. Or an Adiran. Nothing about this skeleton makes sense. I think this is less about erasure than anonymity. Why else enshrine them? What an inefficient means of control. She possessed the form of a child, but her mind was pure chaos. She was dead long before we found her. More Vithrax. Mind your thoughts. I wonder at the tensile strength of this webbing. Strange. Where are the flies? It was in agony. Yet I wouldn't say we offered mercy. Absolutely incredible. I may let you leave me here, Captain. Why are my hands so clammy? I think we may have this place's attention. You apprenticed to Solana? Most impressive. I've only ever seen sketches of her work. I sailed through here on my way to Nekataka, saw the dig site. The man in charge of the excavation was quite set in his theories. Another shining example of Rawatayan efficiency. Not unlike a Duke's Gala after the last of the good ale has been finished. Most curious. Perhaps they grow larger at greater depths? Fascinating. And in remarkable condition, given the surroundings. But there was so much. So many more questions. True physical translation. I suppose I owe Flown that drink. Do you feel that, Watcher? Thoughts on the air. Like snow flurries with sharp edges. What a pleasant surprise. A man of style and grace. Here of all places. A few gold coins can change a life. Provided you possess courage and wit. Perhaps not here, but elsewhere in Eora.